Hey everyone, thank you for listening to the Pain and Panic Trip Planning Podcast. My name is Haley Ragsdale, and I'm here with my brother Owen Rederer.
Hey y'all.
Today, we are going to be continuing our conversation on Epic Universe, but we're actually going to be talking about additions to the parks, things that we think would make great additions to the parks. Owen explain it more a little bit later, but first, a little more business. I'm a travel agent affiliated with Academy Travel, and I would love to help you plan your next Disney or Universal vacation. You can reach out to me at Haley.Ragsdale at academytravel.com to start planning your next dream vacation at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal, Adventures by Disney, Disney Cruise Line, and so much more. All right, before we get into the fun stuff today, what is my computer doing? It's sending all sorts of weird signals. Let's talk a little bit of news, shall we? So, first up, in the Disney category, I haven't seen any of this, but apparently this is a new thing. Disney Plus and Hulu have a new perks program. Have you seen this at all?
I have not seen this.
I mean, you steal my Disney Plus, so.
Well, I can't use your Disney Plus anymore, but I do use your Hulu, so. Hulu,
I
please don't
know,
take it away.
Disney did the weird thing where it's like you have to be on a certain Wi-Fi connection, like you have to be on the same Wi-Fi connection in order to use the same Disney Plus account. I know, it's some ridiculous thing, but I kept getting bumped. And I have a toddler that was very upset he couldn't watch Cars, so I was like, sorry y'all, I have to call into Disney and fix this, and y'all are all getting kicked off my Disney Plus.
That's valid. That's valid.
But I guess there's a new program that they're launching right now where basically it's like a perks program for subscribers. So they're offering rewards, access to one-of-a-kind experiences, limited time sweepstakes, and special discounts. So there's like, some of the perks include chances to win tickets to the Freakier Friday world premiere, a 4-night cruise on the Disney Destiny, which like, hey, sign me up. I was actually looking at cruises today. Because they also just released a couple of extra discounts on Disney cruises for like the summer, like extra 30% off cruises. And it's basically like if you don't care about which stateroom you get, so if you don't care if you're inside, if you're ocean view, veranda, whatever, you can get like 30% off. So if you're fine with whatever room you get on a cruise, let me know. Let's hook you up because it's a pretty solid discount. It's certain sailing dates and certain cruises, so look into it, but it's pretty solid. Or you can get like a 6-month free Dash Pass membership from DoorDash, discounts on Adidas and Funko, and free trials for Clear Plus and Super Duolingo. You even know what Clear Plus is. I know.
So many random companies you just named.
I know, but apparently it's like a thing, and Hulu's gonna have chances to win tickets to Lollapalooza, Jimmy Kimmel Live. I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing of this, but like, sure. So yeah, get Disney Plus. Just let me know if you want to book a cruise, because that was another thing I was going to talk about. There's some pretty solid cruise discounts for this summer. Other than that, what else Disney's got going on? This week, The Little Mermaid, A Musical Adventure, and Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After in Hollywood Studios both debuted. And that's going along with their Cool Kids Summer campaign for this summer. So far, everything I've seen, it looks pretty solid. Jodie Benson was at the premiere of the new Little Mermaid show. So that's awesome. She was the voice of Ariel in the original Little Mermaid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The Disney Villains show looks fabulous. It almost looks like a drag show, but I haven't seen it yet, so don't quote me on that. But it looks like a good time. What else they got? Lilo and Stitch.
Wait, I'm already lagging.
You're already what? Lagging?
Sorry, I was lagging out.
We need to give you a better internet connection. But the live-action Lilo and Stitch premiered this past weekend and apparently reportedly shattered box office records. So that's good for Lilo and Stitch. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard mixed reviews. I'll be interested to see it here in the future.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a video review on it.
Yeah, we'll see. That's actually a good idea. because I actually really do want to see it, and I've heard that it's pretty different from that actual movie, like the
Yeah, and
original.
a lot of people have had iffy reviews on it for changes, and not just in
Yes,
character designs, but storyline. And so, I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll put our 2 cents into that.
I agree. I definitely want to see it. Um, Big news for Universal is still Epic Universe being open, and then they've got the new How to Train Your Dragon movie coming out real soon, which I'm really excited to see that. I did try the How to Train Your Dragon Whopper today at Burger King. I liked it. I think I would have preferred a regular Whopper, but it was good. It was basically like a Whopper, but then it had the weird colored bun. It was like a red bun. And
Yeah, the
then
red and orange marble.
yeah, it was interesting. I don't know how I felt about it. And then it was like the seeds on it were a little more crunchy than a normal like seed on a bun. Yeah, it was odd. And then there was bacon on it. I think that was the big difference. So it was good. I will probably get a regular Whopper next time. I really liked the crown that I got. It was fun. That's about it. Wait times this week at Universal and at Disney World have been really low. Like I've heard rumors that there hasn't been anything over like 70 minutes, including Epic Universe, which is crazy. So apparently it's really slow in Orlando right now. Makes me wish I was in Orlando, but
That's cool.
I think that's it for kind of big news things going on this week that we have. Owen, you got anything else that you've heard of?
Not really. Not really at all.
Okay. Well, this episode was your idea, so I'm gonna let you take it away.
All right. Well, so like Haley said in the beginning, pretty much what we're going to be talking about today is more so just ideas, possibilities, brainstorming, things that could be cool to be added to the Epic universe, right? So obviously we have this new park, and a lot of it is fresh new ideas, right? They haven't done a Nintendo World yet. They've done a little bit with, their dark universe with their universal horror monsters. Like they had the Mummy ride, so they kind of flash that, but going full force with it like they did is pretty exciting. Isle of Berk is obviously new. They haven't had any How to Train Your Dragon stuff previously. Harry Potter is an add-on, but they decided to venture into more of the Fantastic Beast realm, and then Celestial is a whole new aspect of Universal as a whole. And as I kind of steer us into each of these universes and each of these worlds, and we talk about what could be possible additions, I'll kind of go over the thought process getting started with it, right? Um, so honestly, first things first, let's go straight into the center. All right, the most important world in the Epic universe, and that's Celestial. That is what they base this entire new Epic universe around, is the Celestial Park. And just a little insight. Celestial as a whole, pretty much its whole theming and its background is based on the idea of the vastness of the universe and the general astonishing, I guess, aesthetic of the universe, and how, it can be very, like, how would you put that? Very, very wowing, very, you know,
Yeah, like a sky's the
astronomical.
limit kind of thing. Like you can
Yeah,
reach for the stars, and yeah, like nothing's too big, I guess.
yeah.
It's
And so,
celestial.
yeah, it's very celestial. Very almost
Who'd have
like
thought?
a astronomic royalty in my eyes. Like
Yeah,
the way, especially with the way they did it, it has very royal-esque vibes.
yeah,
Everything's very
big and
pristine. Everything's,
grand, and yeah,
yeah, clean and grand. That's beautiful. That's the best way to put it.
yeah,
Um, so with this park being so broad, there are so many ways that they could interpret this. So many different types of directions they could take. I think the way that they started is very strong. Although I will say, with it being such a broad park, it can be difficult for people to look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, like I want to go there," right? Unless it needs more of a wow factor besides just making people feel like royalty and feeling rich. That's honestly what I interpret it as at the moment. Um,
Yeah. I would say their big wow factor in there though is Stardust Racers. I mean, that's
yeah.
a fantastic attraction.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think, in terms of what they decided to do, I think they did do a really great job with Celestial Park in terms of
Agreed.
their theming and in terms of the rides and the food that they added. Everything looks great. But as of now, I think it's their weakest park, except for maybe Harry Potter. But I think, more people are still excited to go to Harry Potter because it's more well known, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
off the bat, you can kind of see it as the weakest link. Now, at the end of the day, it's still a fantastic park, and it's not going to be. I'm not trying to take away from it by saying it's the weakest link,
Yeah.
but I think it can make some nice changes to make it just a step higher.
I agree. I would almost disagree with it being the weakest area though, because I think Harry Potter, I think that area ended up being my least favorite of the areas. And I think I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I'm a diehard Hufflepuff. I've read all the books like 4 times, I think. I read them when I was little and I've reread them a bunch of times. So like I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and I feel like they could have done so much more. And they
Yeah.
just were like, let's throw together a Harry Potter area. Like it's there are great things about it. I don't feel like it was their passion project, right? I feel like the other areas were their passion projects. And that's
Yeah.
where I love Celestial because I just had to defend it real quick. But
I wasn't I wasn't hating on it.
I love it because it's new, it's different, it doesn't have an IP attached to it. And I think they did a phenomenal job with it. So you really see that imagination taking shape within Celestial because they didn't have, oh, we have to stick with this to make the fans happy.
Yeah, and I think that's valid. Um, the way I think about it, obviously this is coming from two different perspectives. You've been to the parks, I
It's true.
haven't. So,
That's
I'm
true.
looking at it from a purely from an outsider's perspective. When
Yeah.
I look at all five parks as a whole, I see four recognizable names and then Celestial. And
Yeah.
that's, once again, I'm not hating on it because I haven't seen it and I've heard great things about it. And I think it's a super cool direction, especially considering, it's Universal Studios and they're going for a universal theme, like trying to take a new way of thinking about Universal as a theme. You know what I mean? By saying
Yeah.
it's celestial. And so, don't get me wrong, I think it'd be cool. Um, I just think there's a couple like I don't think it would be bad to create, characters and brand around Celestial. I think those are the kinds of things where that's what makes you more recognizable as a, I guess you could say like as a brand. So
Yeah.
maybe introducing a cosmic character, or, I guess if they wanted to stick with the theme of just being a broad park, I don't know, maybe a little bit more in
I
terms
think
of,
it worked really well because it's their hub, right?
yeah,
And so I think if you had tried to use like IP in that hub area, it would have made things really crowded. And this gives them so much more room to branch out. And it gives them so much space to do things with it. Like you can put in a random tiki bar in Celestial Park right now, and nobody's gonna bat an eye. If you put a
yeah.
random tiki bar in, I don't know, Dark Universe, everybody would be like, why is there a random tiki bar with great pina coladas? Right? So I think that is where I think they did a great job in what they did with it. And I do think there are things that they can do in the future. And that's kind of where they like hit it out of the park with this one because there's so much they could do if they wanted to, because they're not stuck within the confines of a movie or a TV show or whatever it might be. It could be cool if one day they, like Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, it was a ride before it was a movie series. It might be cool if they tried to turn,
Yeah,
Stardust Racers into a movie or
that would be
something.
cool.
I like I want to say it would be cool, but then a part of me is also like, we've also tried to do that before and it hasn't worked out well, but it has worked out well, so you just have to do it well.
Yeah. See, and that's where you'd have to just put your faith in Universal. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, like, I don't know. I see so much potential in, because with it being such a broad term, there's so many things you
Yeah.
could do with it. Like, imagine a ride that's based around like the Big Bang or Universal's own idea of the universe's creation.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many, because one thing that I feel like, you know, I I might be wrong about this, but I don't think they have like a themed ride. Stardust Racer seems like a big thrill seeker. It might just be cool. Or I mean,
Yeah.
you could even make that into like a show or something if you wanted. Like talking about
Yeah.
the history of the Big Bang. I mean, I don't know what kind of copyright stuff that would be involved with that, but
Yeah.
that's just normal
Yeah.
history. So
No, that would be cool. Yeah. I feel like so you've got Stardust Racers and then you've got that carousel. Those are like the two rides there, right? I
yeah,
didn't ride the carousel. I've never ridden the carousel. Um, but it's cool because it's like a out of this world kind of idea with it. I will say the one thing that's going to hinder them is they don't have any space to grow, right? Because it's their hub. So you can't
uh,
build anything big because it's right there in the center. Um, so I feel like in this area they'd really have to lean more on like food and entertainment. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a big I think they're really smart and I think this is coming because they have that big pond in the center that has water and it has like fountains within it that I think they can control and make go with like music and stuff. So I
oh,
bet
that's
there's
cool.
gonna be a big water, lights, projections, fireworks show.
And
Like
it'd be
they
like
have,
their Fantasmic or whatever.
yeah, probably more like one of the Epcot shows because
Oh,
you're over that body of water almost. And so they've got the water that can add to the effects. I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised if that's kind of their next route. I know they have a fireworks show that they're putting out, but I bet they'll do something big with that area. They also have a couple of different areas that are like small stages and amphitheaters. And so I think this is going to be like your central like activities area. Does that make sense? They'll probably have a lot of
yeah,
like different entertainment going in and out.
that makes sense.
Theory. It's
Yeah,
what I think's coming.
I think Celestial Park is a cool concept, and I think they did a really good job making it. I think honestly, I think you're right. I think fine tuning is what it's really gonna end up getting. Nothing
Yeah.
too extra because they really don't have. Now, one thing I do want to look at real quick. Wait, this is something more personally for me when I'm thinking. Honestly, they already look pretty. They already look pretty confined just based on a. I'm looking at a map of them from above.
Yeah, I mean it's like that's your central hub area and then it like branches off into those other portals. Like I really don't think there's anywhere that they could like there's no open land around it.
Yeah, I mean their growth is going to be pretty limited in the first place.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
so so Celestial is like one long strip in the middle, and they break off to the sides.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, so now looking at this, so let's go ahead and move on to another park. Um,
You
do
want to
you
do Harry
want to
Potter?
go ahead and start with Harry Potter?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
because I feel like it's gonna have the least for us to really talk. I really like it's cool, don't get me wrong. It's breathtaking. It looks very similar to the other Harry Potter areas. But it's not like, oh, I'm walking through Hogsmeade or I'm walking through Diagon Alley. It's like I'm walking through this random French town that I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was cool. I loved walking through the Ministry of Magic. That was more of that like moment I was looking for. And so what I really would like from them, and I didn't watch the show, so the show may be spectacular too and have made me. But I stood in line for 3 hours and 15 minutes for the Ministry of Magic. So there goes all my time in the Harry Potter
Yeah,
area. Um, but I would like to see, because they didn't do something like specifically from the like books, right? They didn't do an area like that. They have a little more freedom. They have a little more wiggle room. So I would love to see them use that wiggle room to do some really cool stuff. I feel like they kind of were dipping their toes in it, but there just wasn't a lot in that area. Like I was expecting more, I guess. There's not a
yeah,
ton to do. There's a couple restaurants, there's a couple shops, but it's not anything like, I don't know, it's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. I wanted more. And so
yeah,
I want them to like fine tune it more and really come up with like a goal other than push everybody to the battle of the ministry.
yeah. I mean, looking like obviously, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan in the first place. I have seen uh like a couple of the later Harry Potter movies, and then I have seen all the Fantastic Beast movies. So
Yeah.
I'm honestly a little bit more in tune with that than Harry Potter in general. So, but the way I
Yeah.
look at it is, I get what they're like. I get maybe one thing that they could have been going for is that with Harry Potter on the outside around humans, it's like it seems normal. Everything seems normal. You're in a normal city. You're in a normal subway station. You're walking, and nothing seems out of the ordinary. But
Yeah.
like then when you find where the magic is, everything changes. Everything's different, and that's where because it's like the wizards are almost hiding it from the normal humans, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, you gotta throw more out there. I feel like it's too many like little hidden moments. I mean, obviously, you got a lot of people, a lot of fans who are going here to see Harry Potter and feel like they're like a wizard. They don't want to feel like they're a human in the Harry Potter world. They want to feel like a wizard in the Harry Potter world. So, I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if they created Hogwarts. I mean, they could have just
Yeah.
slapped that right down. Or, I mean,
They have
had like the
it's
Ministry
in
of Magic as
Universal.
a whole. What
Well,
were
and
you saying?
that's so they do have like they have Hogwarts at the Islands of Adventures where Gringotts it. One of the two other parks. I think it's Universal Studios
Yeah.
has Hogwarts, and then the other one has like Gringotts and all that. So
Oh,
like they
okay.
do have those there. And so they've done the really big ones, right? And then they wanted to make the ministry. They wanted to make the Ministry of Magic, basically. But I feel like they put so much money and so much energy into Ministry of Magic and Battle at the Ministry that then the rest of it they were like, random French crepe. Like, here you
Yeah.
go. Like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, it doesn't have a ton of, I don't know. It's like I feel like they put too much money into the ride. Then they were like, oh,
Yeah.
we're just gonna push people that way anyways. Just make it pretty for them when they walk over.
Yeah, there
That's how
wasn't
it
a
felt
lot
to
of
me.
theming for the walk up. Yeah.
Yeah, like there is. Don't get me wrong. It's gorgeous. I just wanted more. And maybe it's because I love the like Hogsmeade area and all that at the other parks that I was really expecting. Like, and I was like, meh.
Yeah. It was
So
just
I don't know.
underwhelming. Is
Yes,
like,
my big
yeah.
thing for them is I want them to think about how they can make it more like Fantastic Beasts. Like, I didn't see a single Fantastic Beast.
I have seen the video. Oh wait, no, no, no. I think is that in one of the first two places where there's like the little plant guy who's like using his hand to open a key or whatever.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. But and I have seen like there is like an invisible beast or something that hides in some one of the shops.
Maybe. And maybe
There,
I didn't explore it enough because I spent so much time in that queue. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's also one of those things where it is a lot of hidden Easter eggs, it sounds like. And I mean, sometimes, like for instance, when you're in the Isle of Berk, you don't want to have to search for dragons all day.
Yeah,
I mean, part of the feeling is seeing, and I guess looking at Fantastic Beasts, you're not meant to see the beast once again. Like if you're a human, you're walking around, you're not typically going to find just a Fantastic Beast sitting around.
yeah,
But I mean, once again, you know, there is like a fine line where you have to think about are your are your fans going to get bored at some point walking around
yeah,
trying to find them all day,
yeah.
especially when they don't have a ton of time to search, considering you got to wait in that long line. So I don't
Exactly,
know.
exactly.
It doesn't sound like there's much to add necessarily. Just maybe like upgrade once again. Celestial and Harry Potter. It sounds like upgrade.
Yeah, yeah. Fine tune it. Add some more little hidden,
Yeah.
or not even hidden, like in your face extras. Harry Potter.
So let's go ahead and move on. We'll do one that I feel like I can talk a little bit better about. I'll let you pick. Do you want to do Dark Universe or do you want to do Nintendo World?
Let's do. Let's finish with Nintendo World. Let's do Dark Universe.
Okay. This one, okay, I feel like I have some pretty good insight on this one. So, from what I've seen so far, it seems like their theming is on point. Their characters are on point. Their food seems like it's on point. Everything, they really did a great job. And I couldn't be more excited to go to Dark Universe. The only person who's more excited than me is probably Jack. That's the only person.
Yeah,
Um, like they really, and it's really cool to be able to give a throwback to like their older movies because
yeah,
I mean those old horror monster movies are from like the 1950s. I mean, maybe even earlier. Like these are some old movies, and it's cool for them to give a shout out, especially with this new generation, especially the new generation of social media influencers who are going and being like, "Oh wow!" And you get to learn more about the history of Universal Productions in general.
one
So
100.
I think they nailed that. So this one isn't going to be as much talking about what they should have changed or what they should change in the future. I think we should just talk general additions, like things that they can add next. Because now, looking at Dark Universe and the horror monsters and their whole history, they are starting to run out on what monsters they have left to use. Right? They've already used the Invisible Man. Maybe they could make a ride more focused on the Invisible Man. They already have the werewolf and his ride. Dracula and Frankenstein already appear in, the Monsters Unchained ride, and they're both pretty present. So, you kind of have to think about your next big character. And for me, there's two that come to mind. Those are one, the swamp monster. I
I
mean,
was gonna say the
he's the
creature from the
ugly one.
Black Lagoon, whatever.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
maybe you could do like a water ride with him. That would be cool. Maybe you
yeah,
like go into a tunnel, and then maybe the tunnel breaks down, kind of like the Yeti ride. And then while you're in that
yeah.
tunnel, maybe you see like a swamp monster come up to the side or something. I mean, there's lots of cool things you could do with the swamp monster, especially because he's just so ugly and so creepy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Agreed.
Um, and then the second one, which this one probably would be more interpreted as a show, but you might be able to make a ride around it. But that's Phantom of the Opera. I feel like that's probably
Mm.
like
Was
when
that
you think,
Universal?
yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
and see, like, I mean, I feel like when you think about monsters as individuals, obviously, I think the Frankenstein, werewolf, vampire, all those are probably the most well known in terms of individual. But
Yeah,
as a movie as a whole, I mean, Phantom of the Opera is one of the most infamous movies of all time.
yeah,
You hear that everywhere. Almost everybody's seen it. And so that might be a cool one just to almost get your older audience in,
yeah.
right?
I don't know how much that would fit with Dark Universe because it's so monster heavy, and
Yeah.
he's. I don't even know. I know the general lore behind the Phantom of the Opera, in my head, he's just like a creepy dude. But
Yeah.
I know he's supposed to be like a phantom. But I don't
Yes.
know. It's like they'd have to get creative. I like it, but I don't know how they'd do it.
Yeah. I mean, I just think of him as like one of the more well known like premises. And so, in terms of like if they were gonna go in the direction of, their classics, I feel like Phantom and the Swamp Monster would make the most sense, right? Or
Yeah.
honestly just update the mummy. Bring the mummy over, you know?
That would be cool if they brought the mummy over for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like if Jack was in this conversation, he'd be naming off like 60 monsters right now.
That's
Like there's got to be some other monsters and things that they could throw in too. Um I feel like they could do a little bit more with Dracula too. I mean, yes, he's in the ride and he does like it's very important him in the ride and all that, but I feel like they could do something else within the like maybe not a meet and greet, but something else with the vampires. Because there is the like lore. Have you heard the lore behind the well or whatever?
no, I haven't.
It's basically like the well. It's something about it's supposed to be like a sign to like humans that the vampires are just letting them live there and they can kill them whenever they want. Is
Oh my.
essentially what it is. I know. And so it's like red, like it turns red at night or something, and that's supposed to be
Oh
like an idea of blood. And then there's like basically spikes at the top of the well for where they like place their victims when they're
yeah.
sucking their blood. So it would be cool to have more of that lore and things within there. I feel like there's so much they can do, and I am really excited to see what they do with it during Halloween Horror Nights as well. I think
Oh
that's going to
yeah.
be incredible. Because then you can literally have like the haunted houses and stuff within there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they set up a whole Frankenstein vampire haunted house. Like, that would be fantastic and terrifying.
Yeah, that would be super cool. And honestly, I mean, you could even have like where the monsters from Dark Universe just seep into like the other Epic Universe parts. Like they just like you might
Ah,
find like Frankenstein hiding in Super
so cool.
Nintendo World, or him
Yeah,
like riding Yoshi. That'd be kind of funny. I don't know.
that would be kind of funny. I was
There,
gonna say,
I
I
mean,
feel like
there.
anything in Super Nintendo World is still gonna be kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah, literally. I mean, I might be a little terrified if I turn a corner and see the werewolf. I think
Yeah,
if I saw the
fair.
werewolf, I would literally poop myself. Like, I don't know. It also would be funny to see, like, Igor, like, walking through Nintendo
Yeah.
Land being like, I'm lost. Can you help me get back to the Dark Universe? I'm so
Yes.
confused.
Yes. I
Why is everything so colorful?
right. I think a cool addition could be like a show that's like a horror like movie show, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
literally meant to scare you. Like there will be things that jump out. It's going to be eerie, it's going to be dark, it's going to be like scary. Like it's like a rated R show because it's
Yeah.
scary. Like I
Ooh,
think that would be really cool.
yeah, and imagine it with mechanics like A Bug's Life from Disney. Like
Oh
imagine
my
like
gosh.
it could
No.
like a little hand pops up and grabs your shoulder.
Uh, Yeah, no,
That'd be cool.
I'd be out of there so fast. And Jack
Oh
would be like, I'm living my dream.
yeah, he'd be like, engulf me. Let me
Literally.
feel your bony hands on my
I'd be
body.
like, I'd be in there in my pink dress that matches Super Nintendo World with my face glitter, and I'd be like, I'm out of here, bye.
Yeah, no, that honestly would be a great addition. That would be so cool. Ugh. But
I
yeah,
think that
I think
that's where they need to go.
yeah. I think the only other addition that I can even think of is adding, I mean, maybe like new monsters, like new revivals of monsters, maybe even. Like,
Yeah.
because obviously there's not a lot of, like, I don't even know what's the latest monster, like Universal monster.
The latest Universal monster movie, I don't know. It's gotta be like Annabelle or something like that. Like one of those like Oh, is it that one that looks like a little girl that's like she's got the little collar or whatever? I don't remember her name. Um. Oh.
I don't even know. Yeah, I mean,
But
when I look up Universal horror monsters, it only comes up with like the classics. Like the latest one is Curse of the Undead from 1960s. But I also didn't realize that Universal was the ones who created like the Big Bug franchise as well. So like the Deadly Mantis and Tarantula, where it's like the giant bugs that terrorize cities and stuff. That's kind of funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm really not seeing a lot of, I think it'd be cool to take to a more classic horror monster. I mean, honestly, if there was a way for them to recreate or like either re-envision a monster or create their
Yeah.
own new monster, that could be really cool. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
So actually, I'll talk about this at
I
the end.
mean, you're
I will
right.
make a
The
note.
Phantom of the Opera is the only one that they haven't done. I mean, all their classics are The Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, The Mummy, The Phantom of the Opera, and The Wolfman.
Yeah.
Those are
So
considered their classic horror movies.
yeah, no. I mean, that that I think only means that it might be time for a new monster. That's all.
Even though it's only been open like a week, it might be time for a new monster.
Hey, we're just thinking future. We're not putting a time limit on it. We're not saying, hey, you better get this done in the next month or so. It's
It
just
would be.
future reference, okay?
I would love for them to build on Monsters Unchained. So without giving spoilers, basically it would be cool if they made a movie based on the ride where it has
Oh, okay.
all of the monsters and it's got this new Frankenstein, it's got this new Igor. I love Igor's character. I think he's fantastic. And so if they had, this female Frankenstein who's also kind of a babe, like, okay, why are we making like nice
What?
looking animatronics? But like she's very pretty. She's a very pretty animatronic. Um, but it would be cool to have this female Frankenstein, Igor, and they're literally controlling all of these classic monsters. Like that would be a really cool movie.
That does sound pretty cool. And I think,
Like maybe that's
yeah,
what I'm trying to do, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they might. Maybe they might.
Yeah,
All right. I think we go ahead and move on to Isle of Berk. This
let's
one,
do it.
I don't have many additions in my head, to be honest. I mean,
I
they
agree.
have the show, they have the ride, they have the food, they have the theming. Like literally everything I've seen,
Yeah.
it's like perfect. Honestly, I really don't have that many additions, Haley. So this is all you. Anything that you can think of.
No, and I totally agree. And that's what I was going to say. I think they poured so much time and energy into this area that I don't think it's going to be the one that gets the new additions and things in the near future, right? I think this is where they're going to let it run its course, let it live, let it breathe, and then kind of see what comes from it later, right? What they might add. I really can't think of anything like huge to add. Um, Other than like some more of the characters, but really they have a lot of the big ones there already. I mean, you've
Yeah,
got Rough Nut and Tough Nut, you've got Astrid, you've got Hiccup, you've got Toothless. I bet the direction they'll go with this more is the animatronic direction. Like, I bet they'll really test out like the walking robots and things like that, like with the Toothless interaction. I bet that's
yeah.
where you're gonna see more of the newer things. But yeah, I really think they did a phenomenal job, and I think they poured a lot of energy and a lot of money into this area, and I think it can stand on its own for a good amount of time without needing to have any additions.
Yeah, and I think you're right on that. I think really all they can do is just continue to think of new concepts for, food and merchandise. I mean, merchandise is so important. I mean, you
Yes.
gotta have. Honestly, though, so far what I've seen, they did great on that. Like the
Yes.
little toothless bags that have like the strap being his tail or whatever. That's
Yes.
so clever.
Well, and things are selling out so fast. I wanted one of the little, like, you can buy the dragon eggs. and then it hatches, and you can like carry it around as a like lanyard kind of deal, and
Yeah,
then you have the little dragon. I wanted one so bad. They were sold out. Like they've been sold out like for most of the preview time. So their
man,
merchandise for How to Train Your Dragon is flying off the shelves. I mean, even their bakery area, they have like brownies that literally look like little Viking shields. Like they had so much
that's
stuff.
awesome.
Right? They had so much stuff that's brilliant. I think that there will be some more additions in terms of merch and things with the live action coming out. I don't know how I feel about that, like I don't know if I'm excited. I don't know if I'm more just like I'd rather just have the original stuff. We'll see. We'll see how the movie is, I guess. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. I mean, like we said, I think fine tuning and just continuing to do awesome things with it because that's all they've been doing. So yeah,
All
moving
right.
on to the last and final, but also most important world of them all, the Super Nintendo world. Now this is where I can put in my 2 cents. Okay, our family is quite the connoisseurs of some good Nintendo games and love. We love Nintendo. Oh,
Just
like it's
Nintendo love.
yeah. So looking at Super Nintendo World, me and Haley have already talked about some changes we would make to Super Nintendo World as a whole. Like for instance, the Mario Kart ride. We thought that maybe we could have done some. They could have done some better changes with that. I don't know. Did we talk about that on the podcast, or did we talk about that separately?
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the podcast because I talked about how I just wasn't a fan of that ride. I loved the queue. I thought the queue was brilliant. There were a lot of little hidden Easter eggs throughout, which I loved. Um, but yeah, the ride was a letdown. Like they either needed to go with let's make a cool ride or let's make an interactive game. Like you
Yeah,
didn't do a good job of putting the two together. And that's where I was like, man, this wasn't great.
yeah. Like you could have easily done something where you're like very similar to the what's Flight of Passage. You could have
Yeah.
had yourself sitting on one of the Mario Kart bikes, or be sitting in one of the Mario Kart go karts and be behind a screen that moves you in there. Because having the idea of
Yeah.
controlling the cart but not actually controlling it, all it seems like you're doing is giving a baby a rattle. Like you're not actually letting us explore
Yes.
and actually do our own thing. You're literally
And I think
controlling. Yeah.
that's where I was so frustrated because it's like it's the same thing with the Millennium Falcon, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
super cool if you're the pilot and you're with another pilot that you know and it's gonna do a good job. But if you're stuck in the back or you get paired with some kid that doesn't know what they're doing, it's like I wish this was just like I could sit here and enjoy it versus having to like I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
like, can we learn our lessons that the interactive games we have to rely on somebody else? Not
Yeah.
cool. Like Toy Story Mania, let's do it because I am the only one responsible for my score. I am very competitive. So when I'm paired with a little kid who should have been paired with his parents, it's like, well, this was dumb.
Yeah. Oh my yeah. And see, I think that's the biggest thing with that ride. Anyways, sorry. Bad detour. Yeah, I just feel like they could have went. They kind of sat in the middle of two directions. They should have either given us all the control or no control. And I think either way would have been better because I would have rather enjoyed a thrill-seeking ride where someone's driving the cart for me. Like for instance, like we said, Mario Kart Double Dash, where you're sitting on the back and you're the one who throws items. Maybe someone else is driving for you, or you could have done it where we do have the control, we're the ones driving, and it can determine our experience. Like even if you had self-directing, mechanics where it keeps you on the track, but you still get to steer, you still get to control your speed, stuff like that. There's tons of other ways they could have done.
Yeah,
But
I know. I
anyways,
totally agree.
I think Minecart looks great. I don't have any say on that. I think I'm just excited to ride
Yeah.
that. Um,
I
the
think they could
Yoshi ride,
add more in that area. Like I want to
Yeah.
see more in the Donkey Kong area. Whether that's, characters walking around or show or something. Like when Donkey Kong's not meeting, he's got that little gazebo thing. You could do like a fun banana, I don't know, I was gonna say like a banana band, but I don't know what the heck that is. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, one of the most well-known features of Donkey Kong and that whole part of the franchise is the music. I mean, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life.
yeah.
And then you also have, like even the new mini game in the Mario Party for like Donkey Kong, like where they have the personalized character mini games. His is literally the
Yes.
bongos. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
anyways.
that would be have like a bongo like quartet or something. That would be super cool in that area.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be
Right.
super cool. But yeah, obviously, still haven't been there. So, I can't say for sure whether I would love it, hate it, a little bit in between. But I can say Donkey Kong Country looks pretty good to me so far. I saw that they have the Funky Kong shop, which I think is cool. Having a Funky Kong feature in general is, super cool. The Yoshi ride, thought it was a cool concept, and I think I'd be excited to ride it. It is a little less well known. Like, it is very odd that they seem to go very general with their Mario concepts, but then just randomly throw in the Yoshi Land. Like, that was so there. I feel like there's so many other things you could do where it's like you could have even had like your cart is Bowser Jr. and you're Princess Peach sitting in his bag and he's running away with you as Mario chases you or something. Like, I don't know, like that's a stupid example. Or I mean like a Super Mario Galaxy ride where you're sitting on a Luma or one of like the little stars or anything and you're just flying through the galaxy. I mean, there's a lot of cool concepts they could have gone with that are a little bit more well known. But overall, I won't complain because I think Yoshi Land is cool, and I bet I'm going to enjoy that ride. Yoshi's my favorite character,
It's
so
literally like a weird fever dream. It just I was like, what is going on? And I don't know the lore behind Yoshi Land, right? And so that's where I was like,
yeah,
what? Like, what is going on with these like baby characters? And one Yoshi's eating another Yoshi's tail. One's like blowing up like a balloon. I was like, what is happening here? It's like a weird fever dream. Uh, but I do
yeah,
think there are a lot of different hidden Easter eggs within it, and I feel like you're gonna have a heyday when you go because there's
oh
so
yeah,
many there's so much going on in that land that I feel like there's so many little hidden things within there too. Um, so I think like the things I would like to see them do would be to make even more like interactive experiences, right? Like I loved the whole power band stuff. I thought that was great. And so I think having more of those interactive experiences within that and like putting you in the game, I think will be really cool.
yeah. I think, and honestly, speaking of mini games, first of all, they did a great job with that. I'm super excited to go and try out all the little mini games and Easter eggs, especially within the Super Nintendo world. I
Yeah.
think it would be cool if they involved more interactive mini games and stuff like that in the other parks. I know
Yeah.
Harry Potter World does have the wand, and you can do some stuff with your wand.
Yeah.
And I know, well, honestly, I don't know if the other parks do. Like, imagine if Dark Universe had like a Monster Hunter kind of thing, where it's like you're a monster hunter and you're going around looking for evidence and clues of the monsters. Like maybe the Invisible Man left a handprint on a glass window. You scan it with your phone, and then it tells you, "Ooh, he's went this direction," or "This is what this means." You know what I mean? Like that could
Yeah.
be really cool.
I just had a random thought for Dark Universe. Sorry, we're gonna go back
Okay,
because what if they did like breakout rooms in Dark Universe?
that'd be terrifying. What all?
So like, think about how cool that would be.
Yeah. we say that idea, and then all of a sudden we go into a breakout room in Dark Universe, and the whole room is flooding with water, and I feel like a swamp monster grab my foot. I go underwater, and you're like, "Owen, no! I take it back. I don't want it. I don't want it."
You literally have to break out in the time limit, or like you
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. No, they went realistic with that one. They went realistic. They ain't messing around.
Sorry, I had to go back. That one just popped into my head, and I was like, "What if?"
Don't worry. I'll make a return to Dark Universe at the end in just a second. But
Okay.
to finish up with Nintendo World, I think for them, I think they did do a lot of great things, and I think it will be a lot of fine tuning. Obviously, in terms of like looking to the future on what kind of theming they if they were going to expand, what kind of theming could they go for? Obviously, more Mario is always an option, right? Like you can venture into the other Mario games, such as Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, etc., etc. I mean, Odyssey is super popular. You could do tons of things with Odyssey. Um, but I mean, as a whole, if it's just called Nintendo World, that means that there is some flexibility. And you know, there's two franchises that I would love to see involved, and that is Legend of Zelda and Pokemon. Absolutely.
Yes. Legend of Zelda's the big one, and I think it's coming. They have
Yeah.
that like there's like a shop kind of outside of Nintendo World that's a Nintendo shop that has like the what's it called? What's the glass? The oh my gosh.
The
Like
Glass Heart?
the glass windows, like when it's like the paintings, when it's like a mural, like it's like the
Oh,
glass oh
yeah.
my
Oh,
stained glass,
crap.
stained glass. It's
Yeah.
like stained glass windows, and they have like all the Mario characters, and then they have Link and Zelda and Ganondorf. Is that his name? Why am I second guessing
Yeah,
myself?
Ganondorf.
Yeah. Um. So I think it's coming. I think it's coming. I hope it's coming.
Yeah, no, I would love to do a Link and Zelda meet and greet or an Ash Ketchum meet and greet. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just
I mean,
saying,
I could
if
see them
you,
doing like another park and doing Pokemon in the next park.
yeah,
I don't
I
know what the
also,
rights and stuff look like for that though.
I mean, rides for Legend of Zelda.
No,
There's,
for rights, like the
oh,
legal rights.
I mean, I assume all they got to do is continue on the. I mean, they even included the Pikmin inside of the Mario world.
Yeah,
So,
I mean I think Legend of Zelda, I think they're set. Pokemon's the one I'm questionable about.
I don't know. I have high hopes because I just want to have high hopes.
That's
I am a that's my thing. I mean, you know that I've got my Umbreon, you've got your Espeon,
yeah.
um, and there's just so many cool things. I mean, imagine. Okay, this is the perfect segue into the last topic I want to talk about before we end this.
Wait, I have one more
Um,
thing about Super Mario.
okay, I'll let you
I
lead.
need more Daisy merch. There was like no Daisy merch, and that made me angry.
Yeah, and let me ask you: did you see any Shy Guy merch?
No, there was like no. Well, they had more of the like Goombas and Shy Guy and some of that stuff. They didn't have like Daisy, Wario, or Waluigi.
That's messed up.
Right,
That's
right.
messed up. I mean, Daisy is my favorite princess, uh, and Waluigi and Wario are literally classic villains. I mean,
Yes,
so I'm just saying.
I agree.
But so this last topic I want to talk about is the combination of the parks as a whole. Like, what if you had mashups, right? So
Okay.
I think with having a broad hub, like you were saying, like the Celestial Park, and with
Okay.
that being such a broad universal term for like just being like galactic and outer space and stuff like that, you can have so many cool little breakoffs towards the other parks, right? So, for instance, Dark Universe. Maybe this is where they could introduce a new monster that is cosmic, like a cosmic monster. Maybe alien territory or just cosmic being. There's some play around with that. If you
Yeah.
venture into Super Nintendo World, I mean, obviously, Super Mario Galaxy is the most clear pick for that. But if you wanted to introduce Pokemon into that, you could talk about, like a Rayquaza ride where Rayquaza is taking you through outer space, blah, 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 because he's the defender, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So, like, I feel like those are the two best combos. Isle of Berk might be a little difficult because, you've got not prehistoric, but medieval dragons or, like, I don't know, like in the past versus in the future, right? That's how I would put it. And like Harry Potter, I feel like there's something they could do there. I
There's
mean,
gotta be.
that's pretty futuristic.
Well, I feel like even just having that hub is brilliant, right? Because they could do a show with all of the parks and there's some storyline where they're all like something's
Mashed
going
into the
on and
universe.
they're all yeah, exactly. Like it would be really cool to see like a fireworks show or something where they end up combining all of those universes and I
Yeah.
like where you're going with this. It could be interesting. It could be horrible and horrendous, but it could be fantastic. It could
I don't
be
know.
epic.
I don't know. I'm just saying, imagine, you have a situation where I know I'm really stuck on Pokemon, but you know how much of a fan of Pokemon I am. Just imagine they introduce Pokemon into Epic Universe, but it's right in between the Dark Universe and Super Nintendo World. And
Yeah.
so there's like a ride or mashup where like each of the monsters has their own dedicated Pokemon. Like just imagine.
You're
I mean,
getting
there's
real far out there.
this is a real reach. This is a real reach.
Dracula
I'm
with
just
a
having fun at this
Pokemon.
point. I'm just having fun at this point. Just entertaining myself. But I mean, imagine Frankenstein walks
Frankenstein with
up
a Pokemon.
and then just drop, or like Invisible Man with a Kecleon. I mean, I'm just saying, a little chameleon Pokemon.
Lordy.
I'm just saying,
It's like
could be fun.
Pikachu, I choose you.
No, I
What
think
is happening?
I think they'd have to limit it more towards like each park is involved with Celestial instead of combining franchises.
Yes,
I don't.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
I
agree. I'm thinking
just
you're
really
getting
want
a little
Pokemon.
farther.
I just really
That's
want
fair.
Pokemon. Okay, please, Universal, please. I would drop my whole savings just to be involved in a Pokemon land.
I mean, that's fair.
Like
It would
imagine.
be cool. I really don't know how the rights for that would work though. Like I don't know if there's like you know how Marvel is kind of iffy in that Orlando area because it was owned by Universal and then it was Disney and it's just gone back and forth or whatever and so it's kind of iffy. I don't know if there's something like that.
I mean, right, mites. I don't care. Give me some Pokemon. All right, you gotta catch them all, and I can't catch them all if Universal doesn't help me. Okay. Anyways, I think that's a good stopping point. I think we've talked about some really good options for directions that they could go. Obviously, this is just us playing around. Universal isn't going to see this. This is just our personal opinions. So I think me and Haley can be pretty clever. But yeah,
Depending on the day. Let us know what you think though. Like let us know what you're like. I definitely want to see I don't know, them add Pokemon
Pokemon.
Go stops and things within Epic
Okay,
Universe.
if I show up to Epic Universe and they don't have any Pokemon stops, I'm leaving. I'm
Well,
leaving.
you know,
I'm not going to be walking around all day with no Pokemon stops to swipe. Okay. Anyways, continue.
I'm sure there's Pokestops, but like specialty Pokemon in Pokemon Go or something. I don't know. Um, or something you'd like added if you're more familiar with Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, and you're like, oh, they definitely need to add this. Like, let us know. We'd love to hear it. This is just us brainstorming and having a good time. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. If you're looking to book your next Universal vacation, let me know. I'd be happy to help you. If you want to book a Disney vacation, Disney Cruise Line for the summer, they just released those really awesome discounts. So it's like 30% off, which is a great deal. Um, Let me know. I'd be happy to help. My email is Haley.Ragsdale at academytravel.com. Make sure and follow me on Instagram at Haley Ragsdale Travel, Owen at Owen_Rederer. Other than that, have a great day, y'all. Bye
See ya.
bye.